A reading from Paul's second letter to the Corinthians. Since then, we have such a hope, we act with great boldness, not like Moses, who put a veil over his face to keep the people of Israel from gazing at the end of the glory that was being set aside, but their minds were hardened. Indeed, to this very day, when they hear the reading of the Old Covenant, that same veil is still there, since only in Christ is it set aside. Indeed, to this very day, whenever Moses is read, a veil lies over their minds. But when one turns to the Lord, the veil is removed. Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. And all of us, with unveiled faces, seeing the glory of the Lord, as though reflected in a mirror, are being transformed into the same image from one degree of glory to another, for this comes from the Lord, the Spirit. Therefore, since it is God's mercy that we are engaged in this ministry, we do not lose heart. We have renounced the shameful things that one hides. We refuse to practice cunning or to falsify God's words, but by the open statement of the truth, we commend ourselves to the conscience of everyone in the sight of God.
Hello, this is Pastor Merle from Bethel Lutheran Church. A couple reflections on this reading for this week. In this passage, Paul makes reference to a story in the Hebrew Scriptures. Moses, with his encounter with God on Mount Sinai, received the Ten Commandments, and after he'd seen God face to face, he had this residual glow of God's holiness and glory from being in God's presence. His glowing appearance was somewhat frightening or disturbing to those members of his community, and so he would wear a veil to block the glow from the casual observer or conversation. However, when Moses again spoke with God or addressed the people on behalf of God, he would remove that veil and communicate more clearly. The word translated with boldness here carries the connotation that he communicated as equals. This is the hope in which we stand as followers of Jesus because of the resurrection. Jesus came to meet us face to face, dropped the veil of divinity so that we would know and come to see God clearly. Similarly, we no longer hide our own intentions behind such veils of protection, but drop our protective coverings to speak plainly and clearly to one another in full confidence that God meets us in our conversations. The pandemic, in fact, has given us a handy example of that. Do we not often lower our veils in order to be understood, to emphasize connection, or to speak with clarity? God's blessings to you this week. We will see you in worship.